you, good doctor.
Predictable, flashy, cheesy lines and bad CGI. These were some of the words that Gen X used to associate supervillains with. But over the years, studio executives have developed a knack for great and unpredictable storytelling that's uplifted by the help of man's biggest fundamental need: a shit ton of money. Yeah, you heard it right. In the last decade or so, we've seen the likes of the MCU, Warner Brothers, Sony and more actually work to develop scripts which give us amazing villains. From Heath Ledger's Oscar-winning portrayal of Joker to the MCU's visual effects that gave us the likes of Dormammu, we've been witnessing more and more villains have a huge impact in their respective films. So let's take a look at the top 10 supervillain power demonstration scenes where we all said to ourselves, huh? I didn't see that coming. Unless you read the comics, of course, then you would have. Before we begin, please consider contributing to my Patreon for bonus content. Subscribe and give me a follow on Twitter at TV Regent. You'll find the links in the description. What better way to start off this list than by mentioning one of the best villains of all time, Voldemort. Despite the fact that Voldemort's character almost sounds like a made-up fictional story to scare children into falling asleep given his albino-like complexion and noseless face, Voldemort was very much real and the biggest threat throughout the Harry Potter franchise. After searching for the Elder Wand for God knows how many movies, it shattered him into finding out that he still wasn't worthy of it, the devious little Malfoy becoming the rightful owner of the wand after Dumbledore. But in the climax of the Deathly Hallows, as the world's best wizards create an ancient magical spell to block Voldemort and his merry band crew of Death Eaters, he took center stage by effectively managing to use the Elder Wand to destroy the spell, something that he'd never done before. This goes to show that if he was the rightful owner of the Elder Wand, Hogwarts would be ruined in minutes.
That's better.
You can't defeat me.
But he can.
No.
At number 9, we have the eventual destruction of Asgard from the fire demon Surtur. Eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed Surtur hinting at bringing an end to Asgard when he told Thor in the first minutes of the movie, "I'm gonna destroy Asgard," but of course none of us took this seriously as Thor began to whip the demon out senseless and took the source of his power out, only allowing him to be brought back to life by the eternal flame. Fast forward to the end of the film now, and Asgard is turning to rubble. A one-eyed Thor is fighting his sister Hela alongside the newly formed Avengers Alliance, but she's proving too difficult for them. Thor knows he can't beat his sister and decides to adhere to his father's quote of "Asgard isn't a place, it's a people," so Loki brings Surtur back to life with the eternal flame and, well, he destroys Asgard. Standing at least a few hundred feet tall, the demon mumbles some generic bad guy dialogue, kills the main antagonist of the film, and then goes and destroys the main protagonist's home, which isn't bad for a dude who's had 3 minutes worth of screen time the entire film.
This is my crown, the source of my power.
Oh, that's a crown. I thought it was a big eyebrow.
It's a crown.
I am the League of Shadows.
Bane is more than just your typical steroid-pumping, plane hijacking, mass genocide-committing maniac. He went further than anyone could with Batman, except probably the Joker. After his grand entrance in the plane hijacking set piece, fans were excited to see what more would come from this character. And turns out, Tom Hardy's long hours at the gym paid off since he whacked Bruce senseless and broke his back in a completely one-sided affair. But of course, that was nothing a couple of push-ups and a punch to the back couldn't fix. While Batman was busy learning how to climb a wall, Bane managed to seclude the city from the rest of the country, blew up an entire football field to make his big entrance, and finally trapped the entire city police underground, because the head of the police obviously thought sending all of his troops in one location was going to be a smart idea. Despite his plan eventually failing, there's no question that controlling an entire city for more than 3 months is no small feat.
I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding.
One of the biggest threats that the DC Universe has faced in their short movie reign includes the attack on Earth by Lex Luthor's creation, Doomsday. Jesse Eisenberg's character did more than annoy fans with his weird depiction of Luthor. He used a former Superman villain's body to create an enhanced and mutated being that was brought to life by the wonderful visual effects crew. But one of the most unreal scenes came when Superman seemed like he was going to kick the monster's butt out of space. until the government did what it does best: interfere when they're not required, sending a nuclear missile straight at the two, blasting Doomsday back to Earth. Unfortunately for the US government, who clearly never saw any of the Godzilla remakes, Doomsday absorbed the nuclear missile, transformed from a CGI-looking Shrek to an absolute beefcake of a monstrous creature, and started attacking Batman with lightning beams while his nemesis was caught taking a nap in space. An ancient entity that's considered to be the first ever mutant, Apocalypse, or En-Sabanur, was destined to inflict a lot of damage in X-Men Apocalypse. After learning the world's different languages via his enhanced powers, he realized, nah, it's time to restart civilization because the current breed is just too weak. Typical supervillain stuff, isn't it? And so he went on his journey as he picked 4 different horsemen to distribute his powers to, the 4th being none other than Magneto. As he came to save the day for Magneto, who had just witnessed his wife and daughter be brutally murdered, Magneto decided to turn to the dark side and join Apocalypse. His big power move came when he took over Charles Xavier's powers and the Cerebro in the process, unleashing his wrath of God onto the world. In one of the most epic scenes of X-Men history, Apocalypse started narrating Beethoven's symphony to absolutely nobody, which must have made the 4 horsemen think, "Aight, the boss is shouting loudly, so crazy shit's about to go down." He then warped into the brains of the military and released all the world's nuclear arsenals into space, because actually using them to destroy Earth would have made for an abrupt and bleak movie ending. Still an awesome scene though.
You cannot deny the purpose the universe has bestowed upon you!
Ego, aka Peter Quill's long-lost dad, made his first appearance in Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. While his appearance was nothing short of heroic as he saved the Guardians from an imminent threat, his true colours were revealed later on. Ego was basically a living planet in a humanoid form who planned to make the entire planet an extension of himself by leaving his seed to grow, which could only work after 2 Celestials. Luckily for him, and unfortunately for Quill, our protagonist was that Celestial powerful enough to make this happen. To sum it up, Ego impregnated Quill's mom and ran away, came back when he could retrieve something of importance from his son, revealed to his son that he killed his mom, then tried to kill him and all of his friends when they didn't comply. Well, he's definitely not winning any Father of the Year awards for that now, is he? But he did pose a big threat on the Guardians and all the trillions of people from all the planets.
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. It's gone.
One of the best superhero films of all time gave us one of the best acting performances by a villain, Heath Ledger adorning the Joker role so beautifully. Out of all the havoc he created in Gotham City, no moment was bigger than when he made Batman decide between the fate of the woman he loved and the man that could save the city. Despite Batman choosing to save Rachel, Joker called his double bluff and interchanged their locations, blowing up Rachel, while Harvey Dent made it out alive with his face half blown up. This spine-tingling moment created such a devastating impact for Batman, and the chaos it unleashed on Gotham was even worse, since Harvey Dent turned into a crazy maniac who walked around killing people on the basis of a flip of a coin, which he thought was poetic justice considering his girlfriend had died the same way. While the Joker may have lost the battle in the end, he set out to break Batman and his city, which he managed to do single-handedly. The trauma from this one scene made for more plot points in the 3rd installment of the trilogy as well, showing its lasting impact on Batman as a character.
Let her go.
Very poor choice of words.
Stephen Strange may have had the toughest first appearance out of any character in the MCU. He lost the ability to use his hands after a car accident, was forced to change his perception on life as he was introduced to chaos magic, and worst of all, he had to get repeatedly killed over and over again by Dormammu. Dormammu, who's an interdimensional entity and rules the Dark Dimension, convinced Caecilius to destroy the Master of Mystic Arts and bring back Earth to the Dark Dimension. This ultimately led to Dormammu's appearance in the final act, where the CGI-infested villain was slowly absorbing the entire planet. But little did he know that an arrogant ex-surgeon would come to the rescue as Strange used the Eye of Agamotto, aka the Time Stone, to his advantage. Strange appeared in front of the supergalactic entity and occurred those popular words that every MCU fan and penny pincher in the world loves to hear.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You cannot do this forever.
Actually, I can. You and me, trapped in this moment, endlessly.
It is known by many names. My people called it Galactus, the devourer of worlds. It must feed on energy to survive, both thermal and organic.
Galactus is a cosmic entity who's always been one of the big bads in the Marvel comics. The cosmic entity survives and grows by consuming the energy of life-bearing planets, just like a lion does by eating a zebra, or how humans do by wasting non-renewable energy. So, come Fantastic Four: The Rise of the Silver Surfer, Galactus was the main antagonist despite having virtually no screen time or even screen presence, since the entity took the shape of a cloud, which wasn't exactly the most popular executive decision by Fox. While it would have been pretty badass to see a literal cloud consuming the planet Earth, the movie had us on our toes as the cloud that was Galacticus had wrapped itself around the planet. But this was short-lived since the poor entity didn't get to cross Earth off its dinner menu and instead was defeated by the Silver Surfer, who finally justified his name being on the title of the movie as he went on a suicide mission that exploded both him and stopped Galactus from conquering Earth.
I will no longer serve. This is the end. For us both.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Finally, at number 1 is the moment when the Mad Titan collected all 6 Infinity Stones and wiped out half the planet in Avengers Infinity War. Going into this movie, most fans were predicting, yeah, he might get 1 or 2 of those stones, you never know, and bam! 6 minutes later, he's killed off half of Asgard, sent the God of Thunder into depression after killing his brother and his best friend, and walked out with 2 Infinity Stones in the opening sequence. This may have been the first ever MCU movie where a villain has inflicted so much damage and eaten up as much screen time as Thanos did, building up to the terrifying climax that had millions of fans leaving the cinema with their jaws dropping, saying, wait, WTF just happened? Not often do you see a supervillain win, especially not when you get the biggest ensemble superhero team to fight off one guy. What makes it funnier is that the movie referenced this scene over and over again. The line, Thanos will wipe out half the planet, was said at least a bajillion times, and yet while I stuffed popcorn and soda down my throat, I kept saying to myself, nah, Cap and Tony got this. Until they didn't, and we had to witness some of the biggest heroes like Black Panther and Spider-Man getting turned to dust.
And then what?
I finally rest and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe. The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
With this, we've come to the end of our list. Let us know what your top picks were and comment down below if we missed any of them. Click the card on your top right to check out my superhero top 10s playlist. Also, like, share and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on the TV Region.